All right, hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Between Two Spines. I am Dr. Jake Gernacher, and with me as always is Dr. Joe Kerber. We got kind of an interesting one this week.
Yeah, really interesting. It's a lot of people kind of go in the rooms and wait for their adjustment, and they look up and they see this picture of a baby.
Yeah.
And they ask, what's going on there? And
yeah.
Most of the time it's kids that ask that, and when adults do ask, they say, hey, when should I be getting my child checked?
Yeah.
And when do I know when's a good time?
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. And it actually starts in that birth process. And the picture that Joe's referring to, for those who have been in here, it's a picture of a child being born in there. And the question comes up like, what's going on there? So today we really want to focus our topic conversation on childbirth and especially birth trauma as it's going forward. The most normal, quote-unquote normal vaginal childbirth, there's about 60 pounds or more of axial traction or pulling that's happening on the baby's spine. So if you can picture, taking a baby by the head and putting 60 pounds around their waist and shaking them over the floor, that's a quote normal birth in this process. Now, if any of you saw us do that, or anybody do that, you'd form tackle us, which you should. That's how normally a child is brought into this world. So it's something that, when we look at this, we should be addressing very early on.
Yeah, exactly. Most people think of childbirth and they think of this magical thing, and it really is. It's something that doctors have to get the baby out, right?
Yeah.
And that's essential. But we also have to think about what actually is going on during that process, and why is it essential that you get your child checked, or it's to make sure that all that stuff is in place where it actually should be. So,
and minus the 60 pounds of pulling, even that's a lot of force on that little neck and spine as they're coming through that.
Yeah.
The other thing we get a lot with that is when it gets into, but I had a C-section. Mm-hmm. Well,
should I go bring it up there?
This is what we have here. I don't know if you can see it on there very well, but that is a picture of a child being born via C-section. And the C-section statistics are actually much higher when we get through there. It's actually 90 plus pounds of axial traction and pulling. So when people think that, I had a C-section, it's better, and moms usually the ones that know that's not the case because they have the scar to prove it. It's not like they're cutting a section that's wide and lifting the baby out. It's still a very small part, and there's a lot of pulling and shaking as they go through there. Most moms can actually feel that we're on the table as their whole body's moving around from the force that they're putting on this baby's head. So
very important to get checked after that. I mean, it's just looking at that picture, you're putting a good stretch throughout not only the baby's neck, but also the shoulders and the whole torso there too. So.
Yeah, and I probably don't even need to show it, but we get on to then vacuum and forceps. I mean, same kind of thing. Those statistics are very similar, and we can look at that. And that birth trauma, that's there's basically a metal clamp being placed around their jaw, pulling them on the way through there. That clamp that's happening as that's pulling is massive amounts of force in there, or vacuum. As that vacuum is being attached to the head and pulling, it's just putting that much more vertical and axial traction on the spine there, which is causing that much more of that trauma in there. And even the birth process itself in the last 20 plus years, as many of you know, has become very hurried and planned. And in pregnancies being kick-started, if you will, and moms and babies not necessarily being ready, which causes longer labor times. And with that longer labor times, it usually incurs more intervention that happens, and the more intervention that happens, the more problems that we see there. So,
and you touched on the forceps thing. We talked a little bit about that kind of pulling, that traction upwards. Also a little bit of that kind of twisting too.
Absolutely.
Kind of coming through the pelvic outlet there.
Yeah, very much so, because especially as they move into the shoulder area, that baby's being twisted as they come out. So usually we'll cause a lot of upper cervical issues, but also cause some stuff through the mid-back as well in there, which is the other most common area that we see with children as they're coming after being born, is that area there. So bottom line with this stuff is that, babies being born, it's a magical experience. It's really quite fascinating, but it's also really, really important that we get those babies checked right away because of the amount of force that's being placed on their neck. The best time to take care of any issue is before it starts. So we talk about a lot is baby being checked on the way home from the hospital. Yeah.
Even both of our wives are expecting right now. Guess what? The first thing on my mind when that baby comes out, I'm going to be checking it. Obviously, taking in the moment and all that stuff, but also making sure that my baby comes out happy, healthy, making sure that their spine is happy and healthy too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you having us in the room may not be in the cards for all of that, but within that first week to 10 days, it's a great idea to get the baby checked. Very little is going on. They're very young, probably not doing much but sleeping, eating at that time. Perfect time to get them checked to make sure they get that first kickstart, a good chance at life. And beyond that, yes, that first adjustment is important, but those checks as we go to make sure that they're on track and make sure we keep up with that Strive Plus club like we talked about and all those kind of things to make sure that, yes, it's really important that first 10 to 15 days, that they're getting checked, but also for the next 18 years that they're getting checked to make sure things are okay. So very, very important. So.
Exactly.
So yeah, so birth process, very stressful, not only mom and baby. We could get a whole other aspect of why mom needs to get checked after childbirth and that pelvic distortion that happens. But
Dad too.
Dad too. Yeah. You're sleeping those teeny little couches up there. Don't complain about it. You won't get much sympathy, but you need to get checked too afterwards. So, but it's something that very much is a big thing that they get checked right afterwards. So.
For sure.
Awesome. So till next week, guys, take care. These are graphic, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. The baby.
Yeah. Any jokes? Any good childbirth jokes?
I think so.
I'm afraid to ask.
Should I
Yeah.
come up with one?
Yeah. Yeah.
I forget.
Joe, you gotta have a good pregnancy joke, don't you?
I think so.
Yeah.
What's the best way to decipher what the sex of the baby is?
I don't know.
Childbirth.
Pretty accurate, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Sophie's getting coffee.
Yeah. No selfies up there.
Hey, Sophie.
All right.
We did left hand this time.
Switching it up. The funny thing is that everybody asks us that picture up there is Brittany. I'm like, oh my God, they'd kill me.
Oh,
I put
yeah.
that picture of Brittany on the.
Oh yeah.